Hey guys, welcome to the stream. It's Tuesday afternoon and I was just setting up getting some orange, so I was running a bit late there. Anyway, what have we been up to? We have been up to adding a stun widget to the game. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to load it up and we're going to have to check where our code is so right, okay, there's no point in doing that because we've not got the code set up yet. I need to find out if we actually have a stun button. Now, I do know that I wrote the code, and this is it here, input action stun, so we do have a stun button. Right. But we have to work out what we're going to have to do is we have to check the pickup. Okay, and do we have, apparently we don't have a stun. We have the pickup count, we have all those counts, but we don't have a stun count. So I'm going to quickly add, okay, so we do have the stun count right there. I think I've just basically added that a moment ago. Is Mr. Spock watching by any chance? Right, so what we're going to have to do is we are going to have to go into the first level for this and set up one of our room things to have a stun. Okay. Okay, that's an old version of things. Now, I don't know why it's taking things into consideration now. Okay. So, we'll close that. We'll press play. And we have got a stun, but we need to check what the stun pickup actually does when we pick it up. Okay, so blueprints pickup and stun pickup. get the parent actor. Okay, so let's check. It looks like I haven't really done anything with this at all. Okay. So we're looking for this. Okay. There's BPI pickup. Okay. So that wasn't entirely what we wanted. And so that's going to Chronicles. And we're going to close that down. And we're going to look at our interfaces. And here is the event pickup. Now, the interesting thing here is what the parent actor is. Right, so we're going to add a breakpoint here. We're going to find out right, we're going to minimize that. Right. And it's the stun master. Right. Okay. So we don't do this, right? Because that automatically stuns the monsters. Okay, but that's not really what we want it to do. This is what we want it to do when you hit the stun button. Okay. So, really, what we're doing here is, have we got a reference to the controller? And the answer to that is no. So we get player controller, cast it to pawn It's not the controller. We get the player pawn. Cast to Pawn Chronicles. Right, and in Pawn Chronicles, we're going to add a custom event. That's going to be add stun item. Right, so if we go to here, we go add stun item, and that's basically all we need in there. Right, then we go to here, and then we say that +1, and then we set it and then we get the reference to our widget. And we set stun count. Okay. So now what should happen is we should see a little number at the bottom right when we pick up the stun. Oh, well, there is one thing we need to do. And it is in our widget. So we're going to disable that for now. Save that. We're going to go to our HUD. And in-game widgets and stun count. Okay. Well, that's not happening. Okay, we're going to delete that. We're going to save it. Then we're going to go to our Pawn Chronicles. And here we create this. Then we add this to viewport. And we didn't really want to do that. Right, we'll gradually tidy this up as we go. Right. So it is visible to start with. And it ain't adding. Okay. Okay, so that's fine. And that's one. Okay, and that didn't do anything. Ah, okay. So it's set's done. Set's done. Okay. And the next thing we need to do is go to here . And basically do this on event construct. On. Okay, so where's the event construct? Right. Save that. Press play. Okay, so we've got that. We can disable it. Drag it down. press play. Well, that's weird. All right, okay, okay. Set text. Right. That should do us. Let's have a look. There we go. Right. Now, that works, what we want to do is, okay, we don't want to start on this level. Save all. And go to maps, main menu. I believe spacebar is the one we want. Stun, spacebar. Close. Okay. So, exit that just now. If we go back, don't need that anymore. If we go back to our Pawn Chronicles, okay, we've got our stun here. So what we'll do is we'll bring it to here. Right? And we'll be doing this again. Except we'll be taking one away. Hi, somebody. I remember you for a while back. Right, so we're going to be moving this and we're also going to be checking that this is greater than 0. And then we're going to be branching off of this. Right? So you obviously can't do a stun if you haven't got any stuns. But if you do, then we're going to update making them windows widgets. Are you developing in Unreal Engine or something else, or is it game development, or is it something else? And this is going to go up here, and then we're going to comment this by saying collect and use stun power. So you're learning about widgets. Right, so that's looking good, I think. What was I working on the last time you watched me? Because I kind of pivoted away from the uber complicated through a convoluted story, but basically I'm kind of working on a horror game right now as you watch. I think we'll add some comments. Spin to face monster when attacked. Okay, that. Right. So we can test this so right, so that works fine. Okay, and the next thing I need to do is check that it works for more than one. I think you can quite safely say here, because hardly anybody ever watches this channel, so it's not going to be the greatest giveaway in the history of the earth if you tell me even just an outline of what you've got in mind. Right, so 1, 2, use 1. That's fine. Use it again, none left. That's fine, so that's all working as expected. Right, there are no monsters in this level. Well, there's traps, but there's not monsters. But anyway, so that's working. But what I need to do now is I need to get my metal ball, and we basically need to copy the code for the overlap and not overlap. Okay, so we need to go to this viewport, and I'm not 100% sure what we've got that for. I don't think we need that. Is there any references to it? That's the question. No, I didn't think there would be. Right, we're going to delete that. Actually, there's going to be no references for that either. I'm going to delete these. There's absolutely zero reason to have them. Right, so we've got our sphere that's metal chrome, and what I need to do is add a sphere collision to this. So give me a general idea of what you're working on, somebody. You don't need to tell me specifics, but some kind of an idea would be useful, just to get an idea of what you're up to, like. That should do us. 56, what the heck. Right, that'll do us. 56 is the number. Okay, so what we want to do here is add the code from our flamer to the collision on our metal ball, right? So you go to traps, flamer, in there, and we're basically doing this. Control copy. That's fine. And we want obviously the collision. We want the begin. We'll drag this down a little bit. We're going to collision again and end. Then we're going to be pasting. Okay, do you have... How are you doing the footsteps? Do you have it tied to an animation blueprint? Because I can show you. Whoopsie doopsie. Actor goes in there. That goes in there. This gets dragged up a bit. Goes there. Branch, do once, take damage. Okay. Save that. Now, the question is, okay. The question is, somebody, how do you trigger the footsteps? Okay, so this is now going to hit the damage, and when they come out of here it's going to reset, and if we reset the trap then we reset as well. We're not doing that here, but that's fine. So that basically is our metal ball set up to damage as well. Now we ain't doing this anymore. We don't track the player. Are we still tracking the player? I'm guessing not. We shouldn't be anyway. We don't need, do we? We don't really need to do this either, but we'll leave it for now. Question is room center actually doing something anymore? Probably not, because this is it here. So we can basically blow this away. This was all to do with the tracking of the player, but since we're using multiple balls, it becomes obsolete really, because you can't do it basically. It would be unfair on the player, because they wouldn't be able to see if the ball is moving or not. So it kind of stops making sense in that, from that point of view. So we have our stun working, we have our counter and our widgets, and I'm going to tell you what, actually I'm going to change that. I'm going to change this stun availables. Well, it doesn't really matter. The point is, how are you triggering the footsteps? is the question. Right. So here we want to see that we are actually going to get hit by a ball, and there we go. Right, so let us see if this... Okay, so you got to be awful unlucky to be killed by the balls, but that doesn't really matter. Okay, somebody, are you watching? Here is how you are supposed to trigger footsteps. Okay, now this is under normal circumstances. Okay. So what you would normally do is, if I go into my monsters, right? So if I look at my demon vamp, okay, now he's normally got an animation, and basically what you do is, if they've got like a running or walking or whatever, right, what you do is you put and notify, you add a notify at the specific point where the footstep should be made, i.e. they put their foot down, right? So that's there and there. Okay? There and there. And then what you do is in your event graph of your animation blueprint, right, you basically have these as new events, as the anim notify step, okay? And basically I have an array of step sounds so that they're not always the same, right? And then it plays it at that location of where the actor is. Okay, you could actually even specifically set it to like a bone, the foot, or wherever you like, right? But it's good enough to play it at the location of the actor. Okay, now you can set up different notifies on your different animations, like for example a scream, so when they start screaming, that's a notify, right, etc, etc. Now your issue is that you need a different material, okay, in which case you have to set up physics materials, okay. So for example, I have, let's say, this wood, right, this floor, right. Well, what you have to do is for all your different, like if it's road, a cement, snow, metal, wood, whatever it is, carpet, you have to set up a physical material, right? And then when the player is connecting with this, then you can actually find out what the material is, okay, by querying this. So let me show you, right? If I go to this floor, right, which is a blueprint, I'm going to open this up, right? Here's the floor, okay, and there's the static mesh, right? You'll notice here there's a physical material, okay, and if you're colliding with that material, you can query it and say, are you wood, are you metal, are you snow, are you rock, in which case then you can tie the material that they've collided with to the sound that you're going to play, right? So for example, I could do maps, right? And what I could do here is say, right, new folder, and I could say physics materials, okay. Now these can also have, like, this is not the only thing you use a physical material for, right, but this is just in context of what you're talking about, right? What I could do is go in here and I can create a physical material, right? It's not in here, I can't remember where it is. We'll just need to find it. It might be under miscellaneous. Physics. There it's there. Physics material. Right? Right. New physics material. So we could call that, you can call it Sci-M or Phys. You can call it whatever you like, right? And we could call that wood, right? Then basically you can set the friction and all the rest of it. As I said, this isn't just a moniker for a material, but you can use it in that way, right? So you can say, like, you can add these surface types, okay? So I'm pretty sure that if I go to editor project settings, you can probably add them here. Yeah, here's your surface types here, right? So I can basically say wood, I can say carpet, I can say snow, I can say concrete, right? And I can do that, and now what I can do is make that wood, right? And now the interesting part is if I close that down, I can now, well, it just so happens that I've got all the materials anyway, but I can say wood, okay, and now when I collide, I can ask what physical material it is, and then I can tailor the sound to what this is. So I would play, if it was wood, I would play a wood sound. If it was something else, I would play that sound. Right? But you're going to have to check with, actually, just give me 1 second here. I'm going to open another project because I've actually got this in another project. But this is basically how you do it. You query the physical material, you set up your physical materials, and then you apply those physical materials to your blueprints in the game, to your static meshes, like your ground, your carpet, whatever it is they're walking on, right? But if you give this a second, I'll tell you what, I'm going to go and grab a cigarette and a drink. I shall be right back. I'll give this a chance to load up, and I'll be right back with you. Check out the description for links to the Discord and ways to support the channel, and I'll be right back. Hi folks, we're back. Give me a second to adjust my mic. Hi Maracable, how you doing, bud? Right, now do I have this other project open yet? Right, let me see. Okay. Give me 1 second, just loading this up to check the code and I'll show you what I mean. We are having a look at dynamic footsteps and physical materials and how you set them up. Right, so hopefully somebody has seen me doing the physical materials and let me know in the chat if you understand that part of what I was doing there. I'll drag this over once it's loaded. You've not missed anything. I'm going to show you how I did it in another project. I'm just waiting on it loading up. Right, but what you got to remember is you've got to set up your physical materials, right? So for example, on here you can see that I've set up this with Physmat wood. Okay, so when the monsters step on the wood, I basically query what they're colliding with and get this, and then link footsteps that relate to wood. Okay, so in effect what I would have is in, let's have a look. I did open a monster, didn't I? Yeah. Right. So it is crushing my machine at the moment because it's trying to load up this other window. But you'll see here that we do a notify to play a sound. Right? And you'll notice in here I've got an array of footsteps, right? Now, what I would actually do in this case would be to set up a set of footstep cues for wood, for snow, for concrete, for metal, whatever it is. And then I would match that to what the physical material I've collided with to then give me the appropriate sound. And what are you having trouble with, Maracable? Is this loaded up yet? I knew it would take a while, but it didn't take this while. So I'm just wondering here if I can get the pawn and say is it's not line trace. It's just like this one here. Get material. I can't actually remember. I'll just have to wait on this loading up. In this, it's an array of sound cues. Sound cue. And then you basically just get the length of the sound, the length of the array, take away 1, then do a random integer in range 0 to the max, and then get a copy. And that gives you basically a random, one of these sound cues. Right, so it's not always playing the same sound cue, so it's giving you like that little bit of variation to make it sound more natural. Okay, so hopefully that gives you a better idea. You can do it, Cybershell, I do it on a very basic level, right? What I say is, if it's music, then I set up a volume for that, right? Which I call music volume, right? Anything else I categorize as sound effects, and then I set up a variable for that. Right, so basically if I go back to my maps, go to main menu, and hopefully this will actually come up in the next 5 seconds. Right, so basically when I press play, right, in options, what I do is, if I do audio, I have a master volume, then a music volume, and an FX volume, right? And I store these in the saved game, right? And then what I do is basically whenever I play a sound, I multiply the master volume by whatever type of sound it is, and then make that the volume, okay? So any music is basically this times this gives me the volume, and you make it basically between 0 and 1, right? and then any effects, I get this, multiply it by this, and that is the volume I use. Does that answer your question? So, with that in mind, if I go to my, I'm still waiting on this level to load, by the way, from another game, so that I can show you how I do the physical material to footstep thing, right? But if I go to my Pawn Chronicles, right, and I go to here, then zoom in, and right, that's okay. If I go to the audio, I don't think I'm doing it here. This is one of the things I usually do last because it's pretty easy to do. Right, I just basically go through everything. And I set the volume and stuff. Ah, here you go. So here it's here, I'm setting it up here, right? I go to the game instance, get audio settings, then I multiply music by the master, then apply it to the audio volume multiplier. So all I need to do basically is anytime I play music, I just basically copy this, right? And then if it's an FX, I multiply this one and this one, right? So I basically change the music to the FX and basically plug it in here. So if it was like a sound effect, I would just plug this one into here and copy it. Right? I mean, you can do loads of stuff with the audio, but it depends how it's 3D. A 2D sound is something completely different. 2D sound you use for UI, right? So basically, well, actually it'd be used for music as well, unless the music has a location where it's playing from, right? So if it was, let's say you had a turntable that was playing music, then that would obviously have a location, right? But if it's ambient sound or ambient music that is playing throughout, then that is 2D sound, right? It doesn't have a location, but it's still stereo, right? But it's not placed anywhere within the scene. Yeah, you could have dialogue as well, but there's no reason why you can't have dialogue in stereo as well, right? For example, if you've got a character that's speaking to another character and one is on the left hand side of the screen, the other character is on the right hand side of the screen, then you could still have them as 3D sound, right? Where obviously the sound would be coming from that character. Right, but it just depends how you design it. Right, there's no right or wrong way, it's whatever works for your game. You know, dialogue, yes, you could say it's UI. Hi, Mr. Spock, how you doing? Right, so it's taken forever for this to load. Right, but here you see it. This is where I do the stuff that's getting pulled from the saved game, right? So basically what it does is when you load the game, it loads up the saved game audio settings into the game instance. And then the game instance obviously gets passed to each level. So then I'm just using the audio settings for the game instance. And then you're just multiplying whichever ones you need and applying it to the volume multiplier for that sound, whether it's a 2D sound or a 3D sound or whatever. But yeah, this is no, it's not trickier, it's you've just got to understand a few things about it. Like, you've got for a location in a sound, like, okay, let's say you've got a waterfall, right? Well, basically what you've got to do is you've got to create what's called an attenuation. Okay, and the attenuation determines like the fall off. So basically how far away that the sound plays, right? So obviously if you're 2 miles away from a waterfall, you won't hear it, right? But the closer you get to it, you'll start hearing it, okay? And that's what the attenuation does. So you've got to set up like the fall off, whether it's linear or algorithmic or whatever, and settings like that, how far it drops off, what distance it completely drops off, stuff like that, right? Again, you just set it up. It's sounds and sound attenuation. And you can see here you've got enable volume attenuation function, whether it's linear, logarithmic, inverse, God knows what all of them mean. You've got attenuation shape, you know, whether it's a sphere or a capsule, box or cone. You've got an inner radius and a fall off distance. Then you can set up all these air absorptions, focuses, blah blah blah. There's your reverb, blah blah blah. You know, you can get as complicated as you want, right? I'm sure a sound engineer will tell you exactly what all these things do to the nth degree, but I tend to just set them up that they sound okay and then leave it at that and go, yeah, that's okay. But yeah, and then what you do is, if you notice, if I say play sound at location, right, there's your sound, there's the location, and you'll notice that if my machine would stop actually locking up, yeah, you'll notice here that there's this attenuation settings. So then what you can do is you can basically drag in or select this from here. You know, so you, and then obviously I would do the multiplier volume, so I would basically do a game instance and then multiply. If this was a sound effect, then I would do FX times master and then plug it in there. So you can see here if I click on this. I wouldn't say that, but I know what you're saying, right? I wouldn't say it's a material, it's a set of settings of how the sound falls off and reverbs and stuffs like that. Now, I've got absolutely no idea what concurrency is, but I'm pretty sure it probably does something pretty cool if you know what you're doing. But yeah. So obviously your rotation in that is going to become important if you set up the attenuation to be like a cone, right? Obviously, if it's a sphere, the rotation isn't going to matter, right? But if you have got a rotation, then and the attenuation is a cone, it's going to make a hell of a difference. Right? Because if, let's say, the character was facing left, but you've got it wrong and your rotation is actually facing right, and your attenuation is a cone, then if you were standing right next to him, you wouldn't be able to hear him because all the sound is going that way, right? So the attenuation would basically kill the sound on this side, right? So the sound would never reach this bit of the map because the attenuation is sending it out as a cone in this direction, right? But as I said, if it's a sphere, it doesn't really matter because it's basically playing it in a big circle. Right? Right, so is this loaded yet? Apparently it has. Okay. What we want here is our player controller Oh, I'm talking crap. I don't want the player controller at all. Although I kinda do. Right, because actually what I want is his animation. Right, I'm just going to maximize that just now. Right. Now, what I need is his animation blueprint. Right. Right, just ignore me for now. Well, I'll try and remember how this game works. This is a little bit more complicated because it's networked. Right. Right. Right, okay. Now the question is this the actual animation blueprint? And the next question has to be, is somebody still there? For when I actually get the answer to this question. Right, here we go. Yeah, somebody is actually, if you notice, if you scroll up the chat, somebody is a user that was asking me about footsteps. Ah, there you are, somebody. Right, here we go, okay? So, here is our anim footstep, okay? And what we do is we fire a line trace straight down, okay? Then from the hit, we break the hit result and get the physics material, okay? Yeah, it does make it kind of does make it kind of sound weird, right? So I break this result, I get the physics material, and then I return a footstep, right? So from the physics material, I basically check if it's that one. If it's not that one, I check if it's that one. If it's not that one, I check if it's this one. If it's not that, I check if it's this one. And basically, I have all the cues in arrays, right? And then I pass back one cue. And then I play that cue. Okay? Now again, as usual, there's a million ways to do this. Right? And the default appears to be wood, but I'm getting concrete queues, and this I believe is local variables. Yeah, so I've got all these set up in the function as local variables, all the different queues. So I've got carpet queues, concrete queues, wood queues, grass queues, gravel queues, marble queues. Then I basically grab one of them random depending on the physics material that the line trace has hit, right? And then pass back the queue. And then once I've passed back this queue, I play it, right? But you'll notice here that I actually play it on the server, right? Because it's a network game. But anyway, so I get the position of the actor. How do you create a queue? You just get a wave file or an MP3 and basically just create a queue out of it, right? If you get like a wave file, if you make a wave file out of like Audacity, or if you get assets or whatever, then basically if I go here, like you'll get wave files, right? So those are all wave files, and all you do is right click on it and create a queue, and that turns it into a sound queue. That's it, right? Simple as that. So there you go. That's how you do physics materials and sound footsteps based on physics materials. Right, did I close that down? Yeah. Right, so basically what you do is, on your anim notify, or wherever you're going to do it, you get your player, you fire a line trace down, whatever you hit, you check its material, or you return its material, and then they check the material against all the sound cues you've got, and play one that relates to your physical material, right? So if you pass back something called wood, basically play something that's wood. That's how you do it, right? So once I have, might do that later actually, right? Because I have the sounds for it, and I have the materials for it, right? And if I would delete that as well, attenuation, right? So if I go back to my original thing, which was the layout parts, was it? Well, if I go to maps, right, and I go to 1, well actually I can cancel that. We can go to layout parts, and we can basically go to this floor, and as you can see, we can set this to the wood physic material, right? But what we can also do is, if we go to the carpet, so if I double click on that, right, then go to the viewport, and then we've got this BP carpet, right? We can go to here, then go to BP carpet, and then basically each of these carpets, we can open them up, right? And it's this is already set up, right? Carpets physics mat, and I'm pretty sure this is already set up, right? So if we fire down and there's a carpet there, we'll hit a carpet, right? Which means that we can play a carpet footstep, okay? And if it's wood, we obviously just play the wood one, right? And there we go for that one. So we can basically set up our monster steps to play the right sounds, okay? And we could, I'm guessing, right, let's just try this while we're at it. This would be quite cool. Right, I'm going to close everything, and then I'm going to go to our blueprints, and I wonder this is going to come in really handy if I can do this, right? If I go to main, and I do go into the function library. Has this not got a function library already? That's a macro library. Well, apparently I haven't got a function library yet. Right, okay, we'll try it. Right. Right, we're going to say return, and we'll say fizz footstep, right? Oopsie. I shouldn't have closed that other one down. And we'll say material, but this is going to be a physical material. Or is it? Hang on a second. Physics. Is it a physics material? It appears to be. it's not that. Right, we're going to go with a physical material then. And then we're going to say equals. And we're going to say wood. Well, these are all sound cues, so that's a bit weird. Right, we've got it here, right? So here's our wood. And what we're going to do is we're going to pass back a sound cue. We'll just call it cue. Right? So what we do is we say branch right, and we can say temp cue, and that's going to be a sound cue. Right? And then we're going to say carpet. No, we're not. We're going to say equals. And this one is going to be carpet. And then basically we're going to do that. And if we set this up here, right, it means that all of our monsters, all of our characters can access this. This function to return the cues. Right, so again, all I need to do is add another 2, right, and I say basically wood cues, and that's going to be an array, and then I say carpet cues, and that's going to be an array. Okay, and then what we do is we do this as the final output, And then we've got wood cues, so we grab that, get. Then we've got our carpet cues, we do that, get. Then we do when. Then we do -1. Then we do random integer and range from 0 to there. And then we say get a copy. It's going to be that one there. And then we're going to set temp queue to that. Then we plug that in to there. Then we copy this, duplicate it, if it's going to duplicate for me. Right, we do that. We can move this down or move it up or however we want to do that. Right, then this one is going to go in here. That one is going to go in there. And our true is going to go in there. And then we can put that there. And we can just add these in as we get different physical materials as we use them. Right? So now that that's done, we can call this from anywhere. Return phys footstep. Okay? So what we can actually do here is go back to our monster. Where is our little monstery man? So we can go to this guy here. We can do this. Right? We're not going to do this anymore. Okay? But what we're going to do is we're going to get our pawn again. Then we're going to line trace by channel. We're going to split the pins there. We're going to split the pins there. Right? Then we're going to get the actor location. Yeah, he's as bald as me as well. Right, we're going to take our X is going to be the same. Our Y is going to be the same. And we're going to do, doesn't really matter, we could do 50 minus 5. Right, we just want it to basically hit the ground. Okie dokie, and we're going to do our out hit, break result. Right, and then we're going to get our physics material. And we're going to say phys, return phys footstep. Okay. That goes into there, and our Q goes into there. How's about that? And we should really, this is where we should do our, yeah, we've actually got it here, footstep volume multiplier. Right, I'll probably set that up at the start or something. But there you go, there's how you do the physical stuff. Right, now we have put this into a function library, which means that we can actually access it from everywhere. So I can use this in the character, I can use it for every single monster. I don't need to create, these footstep cues can now basically be removed, they are not required. I can delete that. The only thing I need to do now is actually set up these wood cues. Right, so all I need to do is find out where my footsteps are, and here is the footsteps, and here are our sound cues, and that's not it. I believe these are the wood ones, right? So all I need to do is basically, I've got 6 of them. So I just make my array and I just plonk these in. It doesn't even matter what order I put them in. Right? And that's the wood cues, and all I need to do now is do the carpet cues. And I've got carpet, concrete, grass, gravel, ground, metal, plastic, sand, snow, water. Right? So at the end of the day, I've got all of these sounds that I can use. So if I add concrete to the map in any way, I can just basically add in a set of cues, add another basically branch, add this code again for like concrete, and basically add it to the logic, and I'll have all of the sounds. So if I just add these in, didn't want to do that. That goes there, that goes there, that goes there. Save that, and that's us done. And that is how you do physical materials and footsteps, so that they match the surface that you're walking on. So hopefully that was good fun for you guys. And I even implemented it in a cunning way. where I did it in a blueprint function library so that I can actually access this anywhere within the game. And any character or any monster or anything can access this function if it needs to. So as a final thing, is Mr. Spock still in the house? Let me know in the chat if Mr. Spock is in the house. Right, so if we go to second level, the interesting thing, oopsie doopsie, what I want to see yeah, no worries somebody, catch you later. Yeah, somebody's, so you see, somebody's walking on a carpet. Okay. And now somebody's still walking on a carpet. And now they're walking on wood. Right? He won't be able to get to me. Oh, you know what I didn't do? Oh yeah, I did. Or did I? I didn't set an attenuation. Oh yeah, it's set for footsteps. But I'm just wondering what this multiplier is set to. Anyway guys, I hope you've enjoyed it this afternoon. I'm going to say bye bye for now. If you've enjoyed it, hit like and subscribe. Check out the description for a link to my Discord. You're welcome to join. Also, support the channel with Patreon or my previous game on Steam. Again, you'll find links in description, and even just adding my game to your wish list would help a lot. And I shall see you all tonight at 8 PM when I'll be back. Bye bye for now.